During the last class, we were discussing about some of the advanced operators in genetic algorithm. And now in today's session, what we will discuss is some micro operators. Actually, the problem with these micro operators is that there is not much literature available on these things, that is these micro operators. I found this thing only in one text, that is the text by Goldberg. It is in our syllabus also, and what he has taken, and his reference is the book of John Holland only. And I searched another books, and there is another book by Shivanandam and Deepa. In that book also, whatever is given inside this in the book of Goldberg, that is what they have also recreated, the same, almost the same thing is. Even the statements are similar. Not much difference is there. So, and what I understood from these operators, when I read about these operators, what I understood from it, from that text is that these operators are not much being exploited, or it is not much being used in the actual genetic algorithm that we are doing. But these are the concept that is within the form of the actual genetic algorithm, that is the actual theory of evolution. These are the things, that is the biological evolution, that is the things. So, but most of these techniques are not incorporated into our genetic algorithm, that is the simulation of that genetic algorithm. There, we are actually doing the genetic algorithm that we are studying is the simulation of the actual biological evolution theory. So, in the actual simulation situation, the problem solving situation or the optimization situation, these things are not much incorporated, not much studied. So not much is available. So whatever is available in the text, I am presenting it briefly. So the main micro operators that we will discuss today is about the segregation and translocation, then duplication and deletion, then sexual determination and differentiation. These terms are given in pairs because these operators are also taken in pairs. When segregation is there, obviously translocation is also used there. Then duplication as well as deletion is being used together. Then sexual determination as well as differentiation is given together, or I mean taken together. Then the last topic that we will discuss is niche and speciation. That again is taken together. So that is why these are in pairs. Now, segregation and translocation. In this segregation and translocation, these can be applied only in the case of diploid chromosomes that we have discussed in the previous class. The diploid chromosomes we have discussed, where there are two different strands of chromosomes are coming together in order to form a single individual, two different strands of chromosomes, each representing two different alleles in the same position. So that is, in that case, the position is fixed. That is, a particular position determines a particular characteristics of the problem. So that characteristic cannot be changed. So that is the condition. So in the case of this diploid chromosomes, in the case of actual theory of evolution or actual reproduction condition, what happens is this chromosome, when there is a chromosome pair is there, this chromosome pair is split into two. That is in if you have studied in the school days, that is in the school days about the reproductive system in reproductive process in human beings. It is the two chromosomes that is split into two, and one part of a chromosome, one part of this chromosome is formed with the other part of the other chromosome. So that is how it is, not other part of the other chromosome, other part of the other cell. That is what is happening. So that is the process of gamete formation. So when there is a gamete formation is happening, the chromosome pair is split into two. So that is when the chromosome pair is split into two, we actually get a haploid chromosome. That is, when there are two different chromosomes available, something like this, if there is a string like this as well as another one like this, which are joined together, and when this one is split into two, we get two different, one is this and the other one is this, two haploid chromosomes we get. And out of these two haploid chromosomes, one among them is taken randomly. One of these two is taken randomly in order for the reproduction for the next being, the next individual. So this random process is known as this random selection process is known as the segregation. That the problem with this particular segregation is that it disrupts any linking which might exist between different genes in a chromosome. So that is, if these two genes, this gene is linked with this particular gene in some way, if it is linked, so that is removed. That particular linking is disrupted. So then, because of the randomization, it may join with another haploid that is generated by the segregation of other pair of chromosomes. So this what happens in the segregation is that it exploits the proper organization of the chromosome, and it is important to note that how does the chromosome become organized in an appropriate manner. So that is it. How this particular chromosome is organized, that is, this particular gene represents a particular characteristic, say characteristic 1, and this represents the characteristic, say characteristic 3, etc., etc. So that is how the chromosomes are represented. Maybe this can be characteristic 2 or characteristic 3. So that is, each gene represents the characteristic of a specific or it represents a specific characteristic. So that particular linkage is disrupted during the segregation, and how this is organized, that is also important in the case of segregation. And in order to make it organized in the appropriate manner, what we do is we does this translocation operator. In the translocation operator, what we does is we does interchromosomal crossover operator. It is also an interchromosomal crossover operator. It can be considered, that is, the translocation can be considered as an interchromosomal crossover operator. In this condition, in the translocation condition, what we actually does is each allele in the gene is linked or connected with their gene name. That is, if here a 0 is present, it is connected with its corresponding gene name. Say the gene name here, say it is G1. If we put the gene name for this one as 1, so this 0 is linked to this G1. And if it is 1, this 1 is, even if it is 1, then also it is linked to G1. So that is, the linking is being done. There will be a connection between the allele as well as the corresponding gene names. So what happens is, after the crossover is happening, suppose here the last gene is G8. So G8 is some 0. So then a crossover is happening. Then what happens is, if G1 is present here also, that is, instead of this G1 being present here, G1 may be present here. So in that case, when it comes to here, this means G1 has two different values here. Maybe it can be at two different values, or it can be the same value. Then what happens is, in that case, it can avoid one of the values, that is, avoid one of the G1 values. So that is the process of translocation. So that is, when these gene names are reshuffled, that is, the genes are reshuffled, then still using this translocation operator, since the gene names are present, we can arrange them in the appropriate manner itself. So that is the segregation and translocation. So during the segregation, we are separating the chromosome pair into two, and then a randomized selection is done, and one haploid chromosome is joined with another haploid chromosome. And in the case of translocation operator, each gene is connected with the corresponding, each allele is connected with its corresponding gene name, and whenever there is a shuffling of these genes, the corresponding gene name can determine in which position this particular gene is to be treated or is to be placed. Then comes the duplication as well as deletion. So in duplication and deletion, what actually we do is we create multiple copies of the same chromosome. That is, intrachromosomal duplication performs by duplicating a particular gene. Sorry, not chromosome, it is the gene that is being duplicated. That is, the same gene is being duplicated multiple times. And it is then placed along with its ancestor. That is, the original gene will be there, and along with that original gene, a duplicate copy of that same gene is also placed. So then deletion, what deletion does is, deletion removes any duplicate gene that is present in a chromosome. So by this one, what happens is the mutation rate is changed. The mutation rate can be effectively controlled by these operators. The process why or how this particular mutation rate can be controlled is when there are k copies of a particular chromosome, particular gene. If there are k copies of particular gene, then the mutation probability for that particular gene is multiplied by k. And if the same is reversed for deletion, that is, if deletion occurs, the effective mutation rate gets decreased. When duplication comes, the effective mutation rate gets increased, and when deletion happens, the effective mutation rate gets decreased, because the number of copies of the same gene is reduced in the case of deletion. So that is actually duplication and deletion is nothing but creating multiple copies of the same gene, as well as creating or deleting duplicate copies of gene. That is it. Then in the sexual determination and differentiation, what we do is that in the case of human chromosome, the sex of a human being is determined by one of the chromosome. That is, one pair of the chromosome. That is how this human sex is determined. So in the case of females, you might be knowing that two same X and X chromosomes are there, but in the case of males, there is one X and one Y chromosome is there. So what happens is, when the mating happens, if X and X is joined together, then obviously the offspring will be a female, and if X and Y is joined together, then it is a male offspring. That is how the human being reproduction system is working. But in the case of our simulated genetic algorithm, what we can use in this case is, we can segregate or differentiate our chromosomes into two based on some values, based on some specific values, that so that one type of this particular chromosome, that is say it is one type is female and the other type is male. So in that case, what we can do is, only the male chromosomes can interact with or can be crossovered with the female type of chromosomes. That type of thing can be done. So that is the sexual determination and differentiation type. That is, we are giving for a specific gene, we are giving different alleles, and if that particular allele is the same for a number of chromosomes, then that is categorized into one type of category, or category 1. And if it is having another allele, so that chromosomes which are having that particular allele is categorized into category 2. Then only the category 1 can be category 2 only. That is, two individuals from the category 1 cannot mate together. So that is a possibility in the case of simulated genetic algorithm. But as I said, these things are not much exploited or explored in the case of genetic algorithm researches, and not much results are available, and most are only in the theory stage only. Even it was introduced, the genetic algorithm was introduced in the 1970s. Even after 50 years of its existence, these things are in the theory stage only. So that is, we have already said the sexual determination and differentiation. Then the next is niche and speciation condition. In the case of niche and speciation, this is mostly done in the case of multimodal functions or multimodal problems. The multimodal problems is that several peaks will be there. That is like this. See, this is the two-dimensional representation of the fitness function of a specific problem. I mean specific function. So in that case, this is an optimum, this is an optimum, and here is another optimum. If all the three are in the same level, that means there is all the fitnesses will be that the fitnesses corresponding to these 3 points, these will be the same. But there can be a possibility like there is an increasing or decreasing tendency may be there in the different different modes. So this is a mode, and this is a mode, and this is a mode. So when we are doing the genetic algorithmic search, and if there are three modes, then what happens is, out of the total individuals in a population, 1/3 of them should be in this position, and 1/3 of them should be at this position, and the remaining 1/3 should be at this position on an average. During the termination condition, at the stage of this termination, these things, the individuals in the population should be at any of these positions on an average. Not all should be at this position. It is not the case that all should be at this position, or all should be either of these 3 positions, but on an average it should be at either of these positions. So these positions, one of these peaks is the niche. That is, these positions can be considered as the niche, and the individuals that is on one of these peaks can be considered as a species. So the niche and speciation is in the case of multimodal functions, there are multiple niches are there. So the multiple niches in the sense, one niche is here, and the other one is here, and the third one is here. So there are 3 niches in the case. And the individuals that are present at this particular niche, this belongs to a specific species, and the individuals that are present at these positions or at this position, this belong to another set of species. So that is the concept of niche and speciation. So what we want to do is, we want the GA to create stable subpopulations that are well suited to the niches. That is what we always want to create. So in order to explain the theory of niche and speciation, a two-armed bandit problem is normally used. In the case of a two-armed bandit problem, what happens is, there is a machine, there is some device in which there are 2 arms are there, right arm as well as left arm. 2 arms are there. So each arm is associated with each arm, there is some specific payoff is also available. Some payoff in the sense, if a particular person who is playing this particular game chooses the right arm, he will get a specific amount. He will get some reward will be given to him. And if he select the left arm, then also he will be given some reward. And the amount of the reward will vary from one arm to another arm. So in this condition, let us assume that there are 2 arms, and the right arm is associated with a payoff of $75. That is, if a person chooses this particular arm, then he will get an amount of $75. And if a person chooses this particular arm, then he will get a payoff of only $25. So initially, we are unaware about which arm will be giving you what amount of payoff. That is, initially we doesn't know which arm will be giving you the payoff of 75 and which arm is giving you the payoff of 25. So initially what happens is on an average, half of the persons during their first iteration or the first trial, on an average, half of the persons who are playing will be selecting the right arm, and the other half will be selecting the left arm, because they don't know which arm is giving you the $75 and $25. But if during the game, as the game progresses, the persons who are playing, say there are 100 players, so the players will understand that the right arm is paying you the higher amount. So what happens is all the 100 people, all the 100 players will come to this side, that is, come to the right side, because they are getting a higher amount, higher payoff in this particular condition. So then here there will be 0, and here there will be 100. So that is the condition. But still there is no niche condition is not given, because all are coming to the same problem, I mean same position. So even though this is giving you $25, nobody is coming to here. So but this one is giving you 75, and so you are all the people are coming to here. So then what we do is we introduce a modification to this particular game. So instead of allowing the full share to be taken by the player, what he has to do is, when he gets an amount, it has to be divided between all the people that is present in that site, all the people present in that site. So that is the change in the game, or change in the rule of the game. That is, if a person is on the right side, that he is selecting the right side, so he will get a $75. But if there are some 25 people present on that side, only 25, if there are only 25 people, then what he has to do is, he has to distribute this 75 among all these 25 people. So he will be getting only $3. So that is the condition. So if all the 100 people are on the right side, then he will be getting only 0.75. Only $0.75 he will be getting. So then there is a possibility, and if all the 100 people are on the left side, then also he will be getting only $0.25. So that is the condition. If all the 100 people are on either of the sides, they will be getting a very low amount. So then what happens is, whatever be the condition, some people will be having a motivation to shift the lines. That is, if all the 100 people are on the right side, then he will be getting only $75, I mean 0.75. And if he jumps to this position, what he will get is, he will get $25, because he is the only person that is available in that particular arm. So he will get an effective increment, an effective increase in his revenue, or in his payoff will be $24.25, because 25 he will be getting, and he is losing only 0.75. So the effective increment will be 24.25. So there is a chance of people jumping from here to here. So if all the 100 are here, there is a chance people are getting 100 to out of this 100, some people will be jumping from this position to this position. And if all the 100 people are on this side, then obviously there will be people jumping to this side, because here he will be getting only 0.25. Here he will be getting $75 he will be getting if he is the only person there. And if more people are coming also, still he will be getting a better payoff being on this side. So what happens is there, after some time, what happens is there will be a complete equalization condition. That is, there will be an identical payoff will be given or will be obtained by staying in this line as well as by staying in this line. So the payoff in that case can be calculated like this: F right divided by M right, where F right is the payoff, that is the amount that he receives on the right side, the total amount that he receives, and M right is the number of people on the right side. So this is the payoff that he will be getting on being on the right side. And then let us assume that capital M is the total population. Capital M is the total population, and M left is the number of people on the left side, and F right is the expected payoff on the right side. In our case, it is $75. This F right is in our case $75, and in our case F left is $25, and M in our case is 100. That is what we assume. So in this case, F right divided by M right is the payoff, the actual payoff that a player will be getting on selecting the right side, because M right is the number of people on the right side. So the number of people on the right side will be capital M divided by M left, because M left is the number of people on the left side, and F right is the value that he is getting for being on the right side. So this should be equal, that is F right divided by M right should be equal to F left divided by M left. In that case, that is the condition of the equilibrium case, because all the people on the right side will be getting the same amount, and all the people on the left side will also be getting the same amount. So F right divided by M minus M left equal to F left divided by M left. That is the condition. So in our case, if we put the value M as 75 and F right is again 75, sorry, M as 100. So this is M is 100, F right is 75, and F left is also F left is 25. We will get this to be same in the case when M left is 25. When M left is equal to 25, we will get 75 by 75 equal to 25 by 25, that is equal to $1. So this is the condition with the two-armed bandit problem, as we explained in the case of in this particular condition. So what happens in the case of niche and speciation in the case of genetic algorithm is that the same thing will be happening if there are k AMPs are there, that is k niches are there. Suppose there are multiple niches like this is present there. In that case, each of these niches, the number of individuals present will be proportional to the payoff from that particular mode or from that particular niche. So then only a stable subpopulation is obtained. And this is the concept of niche and speciation. And this is some sort of forced sharing. Actually, this is some sort of forced sharing that is happening, because being at this particular node, suppose the nodes are like this. If the nodes are like this, this particular niche will be having, or this particular peak will be having a higher chance of a particular individual being present. That is, more number of individuals will be present at this particular peak, and only less number of individuals will be present at this peak. So this is the basic concept of niche and speciation. As I said, these concepts are also only in the trial stages. Not much is explored on genetic algorithm. And that's all for today. Any doubts?